I was doing what I've always loved to do, and people couldn't see that more broadly, but what I'd love to do was always make things in my kitchen, do small flower arrangements, make a lot of jam.
Netflix just handed Meghan Markle a reality check. Her big comeback project with Love Meghan was supposed to rebrand her image, show her in a new light, and win hearts all over again, but instead, it flopped hard. Despite the hype and a multi-million-dollar deal, viewers just aren't buying what she's selling. The ratings are in free fall, critics are calling it out of touch, and even some former fans are walking away confused and disappointed. And that's just the beginning. What started as a sweet little docuseries quickly turned into a hot mess of forced emotion, recycled royal drama, and a desperate PR grab. Add in whispers of lawsuits, fake tears, and a growing gap between Meghan and the reality she's trying to sell, and this story only gets wilder from here.
So beautiful.
Oh, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, they're just it's just so great. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you.
From the jump, it was clear this show was a gamble. Marketed as a cozy, inspirational series with Meghan Markle at the center, it promised uplifting stories and heartfelt reflections. But what viewers actually got was something entirely different. Overproduced, painfully scripted, and missing any real connection. And the numbers reflect it. Early viewer data was discouraging, and within days, the show fell off Netflix's trending lists in multiple countries. It failed to break into the top 10 in key markets, including the US and UKA. Huge red flag for a show carrying her name and that kind of budget. Social media buzz disappeared almost overnight, replaced by memes, parodies, and a growing wave of disappointment. Critics weren't any kinder. Some called the series a passion project without passion. Others described it as lifeless, awkwardly self-promotional, and deeply disconnected from real people's lives. One review even said it felt like Meghan was performing empathy instead of showing it, like she was trying to look compassionate instead of being it. Yet here's the twist. Despite all the backlash, Netflix greenlit a second season. It shocked everyone. With viewer interest plummeting and critics tearing it apart, a renewal felt like throwing good money after bad. But insiders say the streaming giant is still trying to protect its $100 0 M+ investment with the Sussexes. They're hoping Meghan can find her footing in season 2. Assuming anyone is still watching. And how did Meghan take the news? Spoiler alert, she didn't take it well. According to insider reports, Meghan was furious behind the scenes. Instead of taking the criticism to heart, she blamed almost everyone else involved. Producers were accused of mishandling the tone, editors were told they didn't capture her voice correctly. Some sources close to the situation say Meghan believes she was set up to fail. Surrounded by the wrong team and misunderstood by the media, she told her circle that people just don't get her vision. But the truth is, it wasn't a lack of vision. It was the execution that fell flat. Rather than self-reflect, Meghan leaned into the idea that she's being unfairly targeted. She sees herself as a woman trying to spread positivity, only to be misjudged and torn down. In her eyes, it's not a content problem, it's a public perception issue. But as Meghan points fingers, the internet is pointing right back. And it's not pretty.
It's a lot of pinch me moments right now. And at the same time, I think because I'm so busy with so many different things, and for each of those projects, as you mentioned, the show or the podcast or the brand, the business.
Over time, audiences have started catching on to something they didn't want to believe at first. That Meghan's public image is just too polished, too controlled, too perfect to feel real. And with Love, Meghan only made that more obvious. Every segment felt heavily curated, with Meghan placed as the calm, inspirational guide through hand-picked stories that always seemed to circle back to her. That same polished image followed her off the screen too, straight into her recent appearance on Jamie Kern Lima's podcast Meant to Be, a raw and real moment it turned into what many viewers dubbed the fakest show on earth. Meghan spoke about challenges and self-worth, but critics noticed how every sentence sounded rehearsed, every emotion timed. But the most talked about moment, the tears. At one point, Meghan paused, voice cracking, speaking as if she were overwhelmed with emotion, but there were no actual tears, not a single one. Just a dramatic pause, a soft sniff, and a perfectly timed camera close-up. All of this has left people asking the same question: is any of it real? During Meghan's emotional podcast interview, she paused, lowered her voice, and looked like she was about to break down. Her eyes got glossy, her voice trembled, but the tears never came out. It didn't take long for people to start calling it out. What made it worse, an old clip resurfaced where Meghan openly joked about being able to cry on command. In the video, she smiled and said it was a skill she'd picked up from acting, something she used when roles called for it. That clip made the rounds fast, especially side by side with her podcast, Cry, and it only fueled the backlash. People weren't just calling her dramatic, they were calling her manipulative. Even body language experts jumped in. One analyst pointed out how Meghan's micro expressions don't match genuine emotion. Another said the whole thing looked like planned vulnerability, the kind that's less about expressing pain and more about crafting a perfect public image. But the fakery didn't stop at her face, it spilled right into her personal branding.
I just want to raise a glass to you guys. This feels like a new chapter that I'm so excited that I get to share. All of that is just part of that creativity that I've missed so much.
Despite walking away from royal duties back in 2020, Meghan reportedly still signs off some of her gifts and notes as Her Royal Highness. That's not just a little awkward, it's a breach of royal protocol. She and Harry agreed to stop using their HRH titles as part of their exit deal with the palace. They weren't stripped of the titles completely, but they were expected not to use them in any official or commercial way. So why is she still using it? Critics say it's all about image. By attaching Her Royal Highness to her name, Meghan gets to maintain that royal glow, even if it's not hers to use anymore. Some see it as harmless branding, others, including royal watchers and etiquette experts, see it as deeply inappropriate. Social media had a field day with it. Comments ranged from cringe overload to she's obsessed with being royal even after walking away from it. One critic even said, if you give up the job, you don't keep the badge. This clinging to status is starting to look less like pride and more like desperation, and it's not a good look. As if pretending she still wears the crown wasn't enough, Meghan's DIY empire is now exploding in her face. In one episode of With Love, Meghan highlighted a personal recipe for homemade bath salts. It was framed as a calming, wholesome self-care ritual, complete with soothing music, aesthetic lighting, and her narration guiding viewers through the mix. But for one woman, that bath didn't lead to relaxation, it led to a hospital visit. A viewer is now threatening legal action, claiming Meghan's promoted bath salt formula caused severe burns on her skin. According to early reports, the woman followed the recipe exactly and suffered a bad reaction, which required medical treatment. The lawsuit is reportedly targeting Meghan personally, along with Archwell Productions and Netflix, for promoting an unsafe product without proper disclaimers. And this isn't some small claim. Sources say the legal team behind the complaint is preparing a $10 million zero-cents case, citing negligence, false advertising, and lack of consumer safety warnings. Suddenly, what was meant to be a feel-good moment on her show has turned into a serious legal nightmare, the kind of thing that doesn't just damage a brand, it torches it. From burned fans to burned reputations, it's becoming clear this comeback is turning into a catastrophe.
Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay.
If with love, Meghan wasn't enough, her latest podcast episode took things to a whole new level of strange. In it, Meghan decided to share what she called emails to her future children. It was framed as heartfelt and inspiring, but it ended up sounding more like a script from a Hallmark holiday special. Lines like, "You are light, you are love, you are everything good I ever wanted to be," left listeners more confused than emotional. And then came the tears. Again, without any tears. Meghan's voice cracked. She paused dramatically, and there were long silences meant to show emotion. But just like before, nothing came out. Social media didn't hold back. Clips of the episode were stitched into TikToks mocking her tone, with users calling it peak narcissism, a masterclass in fake vulnerability, and Meghan reading a diary to an imaginary therapist. Some even joked that ChatGPT would have written a more authentic message to her kids. One listener posted, "This isn't a podcast, it's a branding exercise in disguise." Another said, "She's crying for a camera that's not even on." But Meghan wasn't done yet. Her royal performance needed one one final act. At this point, it's clear Meghan is stuck in two worlds, and it's not working. She wants the influence and prestige of royalty, but she also craves the fame and freedom of Hollywood. It's a balancing act that's worn thin. Behind the scenes, reports of staff quitting continue to pile up. People who've worked with her describe the environment as tense, overly controlled, and exhausting. Some say Meghan's constant need to manage every detail makes it impossible for a team to function long-term. And over in Hollywood, the shine is fading. Networks and production companies that once lined up to work with her are quietly backing away. The Netflix deal may still be active, but insiders say the patience is running out. After multiple flops, branding misfires, and public gaffes, the industry seems less interested in Meghan the spectacle and more exhausted by Meghan the spectacle. What started as a message of empowerment is now being labeled toxic. Critics say she isn't pushing boundaries, she's recycling the same image of victimhood and glamour again and again, hoping it sticks, but the audience isn't buying it anymore. In trying to brand herself as a modern-day princess, Meghan Markle may have just written the final chapter of her fairy tale, and this one ends without a happily ever after. What do you think about Meghan's Netflix disaster? Is this the end of her Hollywood dreams, or will she spin it into something new? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more royal reality checks.